Hey guys, I'm Souza, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this build that I've been playing. I think it's been very overlooked this league. It's comparable to most meta builds. It can clear basically as fast as Deadeye. It can insta-kill any boss. It's very strong in general and very comfortable to play and very easy to get going. And not many people are playing it, so I wanted to make a video and showcase it and talk about the choices I made a little bit. Like many other people, my league start plans were to level through campaign as EDC Lich and then pivot into some kind of Elemental Lich or Elemental Blood Mage based on what the people were looking and testing and figuring out. But it turns out that none of this worked basically. By the end of day one, no one had a good looking Elemental build, so that's when I started looking for other options on what to play. And I remembered about this crossbow that they released on 0.2.1 called the Last Lament. And this is what I based this build around. The main thing this crossbow has going for it is not the unique part of it, although it's the main part of the build, but the only reason the build works is because it has good stats. So unlike other uniques in this game, they actually put good stats on an item for once. So it has very good damage and it has very good attack speed, and that's the only reason the entire build works. The unique part about it is that it has this line right here. It says, sacrifice 300 lives to not consume the last bolt when firing. As you can see, my skill right here, Galvanic Shards, has one bolt left, but I can keep firing forever without reloading, because instead of paying for it with bolts, I'm paying for it with life. Except I'm not, because I'm Lich and my life cannot change. Some people were led to believe that sacrifice stuff, like this crossbow has here, sacrifice, does not work with Lich, because in 0.2 they tried making builds with this gloves called Demon Stitcher, which says sacrifice a percent of your life to gain energy shield when you cast a spell. But the reason these gloves don't work and the crossbow does is because these gloves, you gain energy shield based on the percentage of life you sacrifice. So it tries to sacrifice 7% of your life cannot change, so it sacrifices 0 life, and then you gain 0 energy shield. But with the crossbow, it tries to sacrifice 300 life, your life cannot change, it sacrifices 0 life, and you do not consume the bolt anyway, because it has nothing to do with the amount of life sacrificed. So it just works and you can fire forever. So knowing the crossbow worked and that it has very good damage and basically the entire build by itself works just with the crossbow, I wanted to choose a skill to play, and it just so happens that Galvanic Shards was changed to be the perfect fit for the crossbow. If you do not know, Galvanic Shards was already known in 0.2 as a very good clear skill, and mapping in general, it's good at clearing, it can kill rare monster fast by getting close to it and shotgunning it to the face. And in 0.3 it was changed from a 5 bolt skill with moderate damage to a 1 bolt skill with a lot of damage. Since we do not reload, the downside of having only 1 bolt does not exist, and we just got double damage for free compared to playing this build on last patch. So that's why I chose Galvanic Shards. On top of that, Galvanic Shards was always known as a good clear skill, but it could never really boss well. For bosses, people used to run Stormcaller Arrow for a big shock and then Shock Burst rounds, which still works, it's still good, I still have it here. But this crossbow also comes with another benefit, which is the skill called Compose Requiem. And the way this skill works is that you enter a new zone and it charges up for 20 seconds while you are doing other stuff. And when it's ready, it just does a lot of damage. It's insane. It has 400% of base attack speed and 982% of attack damage. It just melts every boss, even if you have no other source of damage, just with the crossbow itself. It's a bit weird how it works. It shoots these curved bolts, kinda, but with conk effect, basically every bolt is gonna hit, and you're gonna do a lot of damage to bosses. So that's the basics of the build. We are Galvanic Shards with never run out of boats, and we use Requiem to one-tap bosses. But what else do we do here to scale the build? We are a Lich, what else do we have from the ascendancy? How does it work? So as I said, Eternal Life, obviously we are needed for the crossbow mechanics, and Soulless Farm is the prerequisite. We also get 10% DR for free, because 10% of damage bypasses energy shield and the life cannot change. That's 10% of damage reduction for free. For third node, we take a jewel. This small node is also very strong. 20% energy shield, for some reason. And the jewel socket doubles the stats, so we get 4% movement speed and 30% ink here, 30% here for 6% increased damage total and 80% attack speed, which is a pretty strong ascendancy node. Obviously this is a very good jewel, but even with a mediocre jewel, this node is already very strong. For the fourth node, you could take the Profane Bloom, kinda, if you can find the spirit to fit Blasphemy and maybe scale some presence radius. You could get some pops, which I'm sure would feel very good. But I could never fit the spirit because we already have a lot of reservations to fit. So instead I just take a Necromantic Conduit, which gives us Unholy Might as long as we are not on low mana. And that's another thing about this build, is that for crossbow skills, shooting does not cost any mana, reloading is what costs the mana. But we never reload, so we just shoot for free. So we are never low mana and the damage is always active. Other than that, those are our 4 nodes, but the heavy lifting here is done by Eternal Life. On top of this, all the mechanical stuff I already mentioned about infinite bows and stuff, Eternal Life also allows us to be set permanently on low life, because your life cannot move down, but it also cannot regen up. So what you do is you take this helmet that says Eldritch Battery. Eldritch Battery removes all energy shield and converts it to mana. So you take it, you equip it, and your HP starts dropping, okay? Or you can shoot to drop your HP because you're starting to sacrifice life again. When you get to the low life threshold, which is 35%, you just put your helmet back on and that's it. You are set to low life permanently. And the benefits of being low life in 0.2, they were very low. There were like a few nodes in the tree and some cast speed, and there's Pain Attunement, but Pain Attunement does not work with the only Lich build that existed in 0.21, that was Chaos Dot. So not many people took this, it's also very out of the way. But in 0.3 they introduced a lot of low life support. There's a few nodes on the tree, they were always here, like this. You get 6% increase, which is insane for one node. You get 25% more low life and 20% low life here. There's decent nodes in the tree, not that incredible, but the main thing they added that's insane is this support gem called Execute III. Execute last patch always had this line which says it does 30% more damage against enemies that are on low life, but they just added for free on top of that 30% more damage of hits while you are low life. So you just get permanent 30% more, and you get 30% more when the enemy reaches low life. So in total this is like 42% more damage on a support, which is insane. So we just run it on every skill, on Requiem, on Galvanic Shards, on Herald of Thunder. Just throw it in everywhere from the buff that we got, that we can socket the same support everywhere. On top of that, there's this new support as well called Direstrike, which costs spirit but grants attack damage while on low life. This is Direstrike 2, it costs 40 spirit for 70%. I'm running Direstrike 1, I think it's more efficient, it's 20 spirit for 50%. If I had a Spirit Amulet, I could run this alongside Convalescence, which I dropped. But I do not have a Spirit Amulet right now because getting an amulet with percent yes and flat yes and prod skills and spirit is basically impossible at this point. It's gonna cost you multiple 100 divines, and I did not want to pay for that, so I'm just not running spirit on the amulet and running a lower version of Direstrike. What else is there from low life? If before Headhunter, Right now I'm running Headhunter. It's been buffed to 6 seconds. It's a must on any endgame build. If you're investing into a build, you want to have Headhunter. It's just insane. But before you have Headhunter, you can also run Chef's Satchel, Chef's Belt, which reads life recovery from flasks also apply to energy shield. And then you can run a flask with more recovery if used on low life for a really big sustain. And then there's the last thing that benefits from low life, which is also perhaps the most important one. Because, as I said, we want to compete with Dead Eyes, right? So we want to be fast. And there's this new abyssal eye thing that's a socketable. And it reads 10% increased movement speed on low life. And you can socket it on boots with the increased effect of socketed items. Or 20% movement speed on low life, which is double what the normal rune that people use has, which is this one, 5% movement speed, so we get 10 instead of 5, and we also get it for like 1 EX instead of 7 div. So that's nice. And then something you might have noticed on these boots is that I'm talking all about having movement speed and competing with Deadeye, but my second rune is not movement speed. And you might think that's a little bit weird, but the reason for that is that this rune has 6% reduced movement speed penalty from using skills while moving, so you shoot fast even though you are moving as long as you reduce this penalty, right? The reason this is a must is because it gets doubled to 12% from the socketed effect, and then it gets added to this another mod that I have on my boots, which is 10% reduced movement speed penalty, so that's 22. And then you get 20% from a perfectly defined chest, so that's 42. And then you get all the nodes in the tree, which is 50, 62, 72, 75, 78, 86, 89, 92, and 100% reduced movement speed penalty from using skills while moving. So you can shoot at the same speed that you move. You'll never have to slow down, which gives all the mobility that this build needs. Having that, all the penalty reduced, all we need now is base movement speed. We want to move fast, right? So that's the base for the entire tree. We have a Witch Start, which is a bit far from... You lose a little bit from travel, but these nodes are definitely not bad. You got 15% yes, 15% yes, 30% yes, 28% yes plus the stun threshold and ailment threshold. These nodes are insane, 15, 15, 40. Like, these nodes are probably nerfed nextly. And then you travel a little bit and you are on Monk Start, which is also insane. Skill speed, movement speed, evasion yes, more movement speed with evasion yes, and low life damage, very efficient increased damage, more evasion yes. You just take all the movement speed, movement speed, movement speed, movement speed, and movement speed, movement. You click every movement speed and reduce the penalty and nothing else, and the crossbow carries the damage by itself. And that's it. I also have this armour here, which is more movement speed on kill. Onslaught from this armour here. Overall, obviously this build is min-maxed to hell and back, but on the end of day 1 I took my Chaos build that had a bunch of ES gear. I bought this crossbow, I equipped it over the one that focus, and I started blasting. Like, the crossbow carries the build by itself. You can easily do T15s with any kind of defensive setup in the crossbow. So, top off everything I've mentioned so far, if you if you think Eternal Life hasn't done enough yet, it's gonna do more. Just wait. There's this gloves in the game called Death Articulated, and what it does is you lose 5% of your life per second, but you get 5 rage per second. Again, one more time, our life can't change, we do not lose any life, we get max rage for free. We scale a bit of max rage, we have 2 runes on the helmet for +8, and we have 6 nodes on the tree for +6 and then +8 for 52 total. And then we run Berserk to scale rage effect to get a bunch of percent more attack damage, which just shoots our damage to the moon. Another thing the node also enables is Olroth's Flask. Since you are always missing life, you can always press the flask on demand for free guard. So yeah, I think that's all I have to show. I could show my supports and the gems, but it's all very generic. It's like Galvanic Shards, Herald of Thunder. The Alice Desire on Herald of Thunder is a deck that's been shown recently. The quality is very good for Herald of Thunder. The level, of course, good, but it's expensive and definitely not needed. I have Rakiatas as well that I swap between here. You get to run the Liberation because you have no movement speed penalty, so 30% more of 0, it's still 0, you still move for free. And the supports are generic. I run Innervate on Galvanic Shards, which might seem a bit weird, but it can no longer be socketed in Herald of Thunder since this patch. And you only use Galvanic for clear anyway, so it's a pretty good support for clear. Emergency reload. We do not reload, obviously, but emergency reload has a damage bonus. So if you want more damage, you just press it and you get a 30% more for free. One important thing, if you want to do emergency reload and Requiem, you have to do reload first and then Requiem. If you do Requiem and then reload, it's going to cancel your Requiem and you have to wait 20 seconds again. So that's terrible. Defensively, we are evasion yes. If we didn't have to run this chest for reducing movement penalty, I would love to run an evasion yes chest to have more pool, because we do not have the life pool, unlike Dead Eyes with evasion yes, they also have the life pool behind, right? We do not have it, the energy shields are entire pool, so this is not that much pool, only 3500. It's enough. I haven't died in a while, I'm level 96. But if you could get more, I'd love to get more. But the tree is very spread thin, and there's a lot of uniques I must run. The helmet does all the heavy weighting in the energy shield. So if you are doing a starter version of the build, I suggest you cut out this entire part of the tree, cut it out here. Do not run the gloves. Run some gloves with flat and attack speed, and click some more evasion ES and more evasion to be more defensive until you have the damage to just run over everything. I think that's it. I will leave a snapshot of this character as it is right now on the description, and I will also leave a snapshot of day 3. For some reason, the PoE Ninja does not have a snapshot of my day 2, which I think would be the most appropriate for someone beginning. But I have a day 3 snapshot I can share. And that's it. Thank you for watching.